Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And yes, we are having the Pirate Broadcast today. And it is a holiday. It's for some people, and we are here regardless of holidays, days off, and events and everything. So, and it's all about today is all about storytelling and how we craft our stories in our lives and how events in our lives can craft our stories. And I think that's along the way, we kind of have these things that happen for us, and then we all of a sudden have these things that we can talk about and share, and these shared experiences become who we are and what we become as well. So today we have Eileen, and we are going to be talking about stories, crafting stories. She's an author, a storyteller, and just an overall awesome pirate. You're a pirate now, Eileen. How are you doing?
Oh, I know. Thank you very much. I'm honored and excited to be here. Thank you so much, Russ.
Well, you know, it's amazing to me to think that the Pirate Broadcast has been going on for nearly a year. 5 days a week, every morning, just like clockwork. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's really about the individuals that join in, and I really love highlighting people that are doing something interesting. And I'm passionate about storytelling. I'm not it's not necessarily the first thing I go to by default when I think about creating. Mm-hmm. However, I do love and enjoy it. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how you got into storytelling. I know there's a backstory there, and how you crafted your journey, and what prompted you to become more involved in storytelling. So walk us through that journey, and let's find out a little bit more about Eileen.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I'll speed up my story a little bit, but in the 80s, I lost my mom and my brother within 4 months apart. Just starting out in my career, devastated, but no one teaches you how to handle death. And it wasn't, mm-hmm. It wasn't out in the open like it is now with helpful information like yourself and other things on the internet. So what did I do at that time? I just dove into my career, worked all the time. And very successful in the career that I had started and things like that. I was the only girl in the family and the youngest, and I was daddy's little girl, loved my father dearly, and I'll probably shed a tear or two, but loved him more than anything else. We were two peas in a pod. So my dad ended up passing away in 2011 of lung cancer, and it was horrific. And if anyone has lost someone to cancer or whatever, it is horrendous. Tore my heart right out of my body. And at that time in my life, I didn't know how to handle it. And I knew I was in a dark place. My husband knew I was in a dark place. So I Googled said to journal. And I know that you had spoken previously to one of your guests last week in regards to journaling and how important it was. So I did that for about 2 weeks. And because of my personality, I said, well, this is not working. I'm not cured. I said,
this is not instant gratification.
No,
it's not solving my problem.
And so I said to Danny, my father was a veteran. He was a Marine, fought at Iwo Jima when he was 17 years old. His boots hit the shores of Iwo Jima. And I never knew about my dad in the war because they never talked about that, the greatest generation. And I wish I knew. 3 months before he died, I found out that he was in Iwo Jima 31 days out of 36. And my heart just was like devastated. My husband and I do a lot with the veterans today, as much as we can. But anyways, so I said to my husband, I'm going to write a book about my father. We'll dedicate to the veterans. And I said, looked at him and I said, no one's going to read it but me and you, right? And he said, that's right. So I did some other things. And I said, you know what? If I feel like this, other people must feel like this, Russ, and have stories to share about their dads. So I reached out to people that I went to high school with because our dads all, fought in World War II. And they said, oh my God, it's a great idea. So I put a book together and never intended it to go any further than that. And my uncle passed away of lung cancer about 6 months later, and I inherited my grandmother's chandelier. Anyways, make a long story short, I said, this chandelier is so important to me because it reminds me, brings back memories and stories of growing up as kids in the holidays. So I said to Danny, I'm going to do 2 books instead of 1. And he's like, that's great. So the feedback and everything I got from doing these 2 books, I said to my husband, I said, I think I have something here. So I came up with Unforgettable Faces and Stories as my title for my books, because I wanted it to cover, I wanted to have a vanilla and umbrella, if you will, so I could tell all kinds of stories. So thus, Unforgettable Faces and Stories was born. And probably a few weeks before my book came out about dads, daughters, and dedications, I received a small package in the mail, and my cousin had cleaned out the family home and found my dad's dog tags in a meadow. And I knew that was a sign that I was doing the right thing, and that was my journey, because I look for signs, because I'm a true believer that we have signs all through our life. We just have to be open to see them.
Yeah, we have to understand that there are things in our lives that are there to teach us, and there are things that are there to guide us, along our journey. So you found the backpack, and so you've already kind of formulated 2 books in this journey underneath the heading of, is it Unforgettable
Faces and Stories?
Faces and Stories.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that I get it right. And so I mean, the end of that story is, I mean, you could continue that story further and further.
Correct. I've done 8 books under that title so far, and it's been awesome because it gives other people an opportunity to tell their story about a particular theme. And 2 of my books, Pet Tales and Letters to Heaven, were on Amazon's bestsellers. And 4 of the books I went through a self-publisher, and then the 4 of them, 4 through 8, I did on my own. I like to have more control, if you will. I learned things things that I wished I could have done differently when I first started, but you know what, I adapted, and at least I took a step to do things. And
I think that's called experience.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, learning, wisdom. Yeah, wisdom.
So I love this idea, and not everybody has the fortitude or the patience to write a book, and it's a journey in itself. I've published, I've been a Amazon bestseller. I've gone through that journey. I know that there are probably several other books in my head that could come out, and it does take time, and it does take effort. So I guess my thought process is, where does this journey take you next? Is it just continuing to write these books and pour out this information to share these gifts that people have brought to the world, and that that present that they've delivered to their loved ones?
Great question. And that's the question that I asked myself as I was moving forward, was coming out with my 8th book, Patriots of Courage, Tributes to First Responders. And love LinkedIn. I've met so many people within LinkedIn, and a lot of them, I would reach out to them and ask them if they would want to do a story. Anyways, the people that I met doing this book was just incredible. And that was in 2018. And I started to say, I think I'm being, what's the word I want to use? Not trained. I think I'm being prepared for my real mission. Didn't know what it was. My husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2018, right after my book came out. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a little break, break for a year, because I was doing a book a year. And My husband actually, because of his personal situation, he ended up coming out with a premixed cocktail drink that's in the New Hampshire outlet stores. And I only say that to say, okay, well, I'm going to help him now, with his things with social media, because I'm also self-taught with that. And that's such a huge piece of business success. And I was going through my Facebook feed one time, and this was in the beginning of 2019, and I had Christy Gardner, who is an Army vet. She's a double amputee. And she had written about her service dog in one of my books, my fourth book, Pet Tales. And that was in 2014. Stayed in touch with her throughout the years. My husband and I, she plays sled hockey. My husband and I had gone to several of her sled hockey games, and very inspirational. And I saw a Facebook feed that Steve Hartman on the Road series did on her. It's a little over 3 minutes. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And it talked about how she took a puppy that was born with a defective front paw, that didn't know what the fate was going to be and didn't know what the breeder was going to do. And she said, that puppy's like me. I want to give that puppy a chance to do something with his life, because I had to learn to walk and prostate legs, with my life. Right. And I got in touch with her, said, hey, Christy, I'd love to do a children's book about you. What do you think? And she said, sure. And I've never done a children's book before in my life, where I had no idea what to do, how to do it. And I put it out there, because sometimes they say you speak it, you do it. Yeah. And I'm going to do a book, and I want my mission. I wanted to help Christy make money to help other service people. She trains puppies for veterans and first responders, and Lucky was her puppy number 10 that she's done. And it's been an incredible journey. And of course, the book comes out, March, when COVID hit. And, so that was a huge experience in itself. And we had found out at the same time my husband had lymphoma. And so we were doing those all at the same time. He's doing fabulous now, by the way. Oh, so it's very good. So there was a lot of things in life going on, but this gave me direction, and it's going to help so many people. And veterans, like I said, this is kind of a dedication to my dad. And I wanted to do something that would fill in a void with him, that he could be proud of me for what I've done. It's veteran oriented, and it's helping people, and it's about puppies. So this is what I'm doing, and I do have a long-term goal that I'm looking to do. I want to do an animated film about the book. So that's my long-term goal. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful process, and I know that tying those topics together are heartfelt, and they make such an impact on so many of us. I recently lost my father, and he was in the Korean War, and he used to tell stories all the time, and I always anticipated. I share those stories on occasion, and it's really heartwarming to know that people, once we get to our experiences, when we can articulate those experiences, there's always a story involved. There's things that people have done that we will never know about, because they haven't been to the place where you are and been able to extract those stories from the individuals that you're connected with. And so, one of the things that I want to do, with the Pirate broadcast is, it's expand that opportunity for people to share their journey, their story, and why they're doing it, and what's taking place in their world, just like this. And I think it's hats off and applause and, gratitude for your efforts and what you're doing here, because I know that even a small impact makes a huge difference in the big scheme of things. And I know that there's so many people that can be impacted by what you're doing. Pet lovers, kids, service people, people in the military, first responders, all of the individuals that are involved are going to benefit from some element in your story. So
Absolutely.
How do you go about, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about the structure and how you approach the story. Because, that's, the story arc and some of the elements in telling someone's journey in real life is not the same as writing a Disney movie where it's fantasy. And you don't always have the the hero and the villain and some things like that. You have challenges and you have these conflicts and things like that. So how do you craft a story? What's the process that you go through in order to develop these stories to the point where they get on the page?
Sure. In my previous books, what I did is I took a common thread. One of it was the second my life changed forever. Our lives can change in a second. It can change in a positive or a negative. And that's the other good thing that I loved, because each person, I would reach out to someone that something struck me by what they posted on LinkedIn or Facebook, or I actually started getting a lot of referrals. I have people from 6 different countries that have written in my book, but something struck me. So I would ask them, and I would leave that up to them, Russ, whether, that story is a positive or a negative, because we've all had those things.
Yeah.
In life that have affected. So I give them an itinerary of what to do, but I really want it to come from their heart. I really want them to tell their story because they know it best. I don't do very much tweaking at all. Just a little bit in the grammar, because and not even the editing, because sometimes when you're trying to tell a story, you have to tell it a certain way, in that person's voice.
Yeah.
And I get photographs from them that are, that go along with the story. And then I work on putting them together. And I had used Amazon, to do my books, create space, and put that together. And then I participate and tell a story in each of my books, except for my most recent one, Patriots of Courage. So I'm not sure if you wanted to go over that piece or with the children's book that I just did, but previously, and the people that I have met and the stories, Russ, that people have shared with me have been incredible. I have everyday people, and I have people that have high credibility. So I am honored to have all of those people in the books, because we all learn from each other. We all learn something from each other's experience, because that's what life is all about.
That is what life is all about. I want to share a little bit about some of the people that are here in the pirate community, to shout out to them. Jennifer is here. Good morning. She's awesome individual that does knitting. So Sherry St. Marie, way to be here today, and a great topic of storytelling. Thank you so much, Sherry. Appreciate you. Hyatt Ives, good morning. Happy Labor Day, and happy Labor Day to you as well, Hyatt. I know that you and Rob have been connected and having conversations. Kenyatta, good morning, Pirates. Russ Johnson, Eileen. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Sarathi, namaste for all the happy evening, morning, and all the Russ and Eileen. Thank you so much. And Kevin D. Turner, what a fantastic last name. So fantastic.
Jennifer actually wrote in one of my books, a couple of my books, the first person that you talked about, Jennifer. And I've met and I'm friends with so many people throughout the years. Good morning, yes. Jennifer.
Yes. So I know that you're probably connected to some of the pirates here in the community.
I am.
All good people, and it's really fantastic. So I really feel, since let's talk about the first responder a little bit. The book that you're writing about the first responders, because 9/11 is right around the corner. So I'm not sure if everybody can relate to that, but I think that most people can. Many people can, because it changed a lot of things of what we're doing today. And I was a first responder. I used to be a firefighter and an EMT at one point in my
Thank you.
scattered career. And it's like, I wasn't in the military, but I was a first responder. And it means a lot to be able to assist people and help people in that capacity. And I just want to make sure that everybody remembers that, we have to remember what it's like to be in an emergency, have a crisis, and have people that help. Because, I mean, we just recently this year, the hurricanes and things that devastated Louisiana's, I mean, it's tragic. And I just wanted to make sure that we honor the individuals that are out there helping, lifting the water, carrying the supplies and everything else that go along with that. So maybe we could dive into that, and then we could wrap up with the stories about the kids as well. So
sure. When Patriots of Courage, it was incredible because I do have a lot of stories about firefighters, actually, police, people that had people that I approached, Russ. They were so. I think that they were so appreciative because they don't really have an opportunity to talk about their loved ones in a book, in a story. They have their stories in their mind, and it's not something that you just carry on in a casual conversation unless someone asks you about it, like yourself.
Right.
And I get it. And to be with people who have lost their husbands, have lost loved wives, sisters, and people that are so proud to be a third generation police officer.
Mm-hmm.
The heart that these people have, the soul that they have, the commitment to, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and to have one person say thank you. I am amazed that I try to say, everyone that I see that as a first responder or a veteran, my husband and I, we go up and say, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Yeah. And we all need to do more of that. And the responses I get are incredible. I mean, I have, gentlemen that fought in the Korean War that tears come to their eyes. I'm in a grocery store and I thank them, and no one's ever done that before. You have officers now that that I come in contact with. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing. Firefighters, because my mom and I were in a fire, and she was burnt pretty bad. So you recall things that firefighters did or medical people did because they were there on the front lines for you, and they're there for everybody on the front lines. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And there's a lot of people that are still on the front lines. Right now we're living in a kind of a challenging time in history, and a lot of change taking place. And I think really more than any other time I can remember or recall is resiliency is the power, the thing that brings most effectiveness to your day is just being resilient. It's just make sure that you have an opportunity to reflect on what is going on and how much gratitude we have for the things we have around us, and be ready to be flexible in our future, because we don't know what it looks like around the corner. And I just think that those people that are putting themselves out there every single day, I mean, the police officers and the first responders and the medical teams that are in there, it's just amazing. And it's just, if you've ever spent any time in an ER, thank those people, because they work tirelessly and they work on so many different things back to back, time after time. And it's just so impressive to watch at times, because I don't think we can appreciate some of the things they have to go through in order to accomplish their job. So yes, it's nice to get somebody to walk up and say thank you for your efforts.
It is. So thank you. Yeah.
So on the kids, that's a completely different side of the equation. I think it's really challenging to talk about first responders in one chapter and then jump over to a children's book. That's a completely different approach in the way we tell a story, where we articulate, and the ideas that we have to formulate in this story. So how do you shift that far in the way the book is structured?
Well, my book is based on a true story.
Okay.
So that is easy for me, and I've seen it. I know Christy personally. Actually, we're having our first book signing next weekend on the 12th.
Congratulations.
Yes, I'm very excited. It's going to be outside, social distancing, mask required,
Yeah.
but very, very excited. But I think when I was looking for my true mission, what am I being exposed to do? And I just think that this encompasses everything. And I think because Christy in herself is so inspiring, she was in a very dark place, suicide oriented, and a veteran from World War II came up to her at one of the veteran facilities and talked her into looking into sled hockey. So he took 10 minutes of his time to talk to her and say, thank you for your service. Life isn't over. Life can go on. You've got a hiccup, but you can get through it. And she did. And she is inspirational for other veterans that are disabled, or even people, first responders that have a situation. But sometimes scars aren't visible. Scars are sometimes inside and non-visible as well. And she understands that. And there's so many people that follow her and that have a following. It was very easy to shift over because my mission that I saw in front of me is so strong.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. I can
Well, it's almost like it's almost like it's pulling you forward, and it's just like this compelling thing. It's for me, it's the pirate broadcast. That's the, this is the mission I have. It's like I should have, could have, would have been gone many times in my life, and I'm here for a reason. And it's like being able to highlight and tell stories and shine the light on other people along their journey is what brings me light. And I understand and appreciate how you can feel in telling these stories. And it's so important for us to get that out and share that information, because there's so many people out there that deserve and need a little bit of recognition just to get it through whatever they're processing, whatever their goals are and their mission in life.
And I don't know if you're familiar with sled hockey or not, but what they do is you're actually like in this little bucket, and it has an edge on it, a blade on it, and go out, and some of them don't have limbs, missing limbs, and they're out there and they have teamwork, they have a mission, they have a purpose, and to see all that and to feel all that when you go to a game. And I just want it to be exposed more so that people know it's out there. We need to be cheerleaders for them. We need to, be able to offer that to other veterans. Christy is captain of the U.S. Warriors. They play internationally. And she was training for Tokyo Olympics when COVID hit. They had chosen her to go out. She was being trained in California, and to go to Tokyo. But then obviously everything hit, and but just to give others an opportunity. It is strong, and I am being pulled towards that. That's good verbiage.
Yeah.
Good word.
Well, I just really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm a fan of storytelling in many capacities. I've, attended, intentionally, I'm drawn and then intentionally I go after people because it's an art and a craft that we can continue to improve and help others tell their story and articulate their journey. And I just think it's an important part of who we are and what we're doing. And, it's in our DNA. So I just applaud you for your efforts and thank you for your enthusiasm and assistance in this journey for others along their way. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So I know it's Labor Day and it's Labor Day weekend, and I truly appreciate that you took the time to jump on the pirate broadcast here today and share a little bit about the stories. And Jennifer's here. She says, thank you for the first responders. She says, congratulations on the book.
I love her. Yeah.
Thank you, veterans. She's a shining light. I know she's a bright star in the universe here. Martin says, good morning, pirates. It's a great day. And then Jennifer says, I love you so much, Eileen. Tanya Scott, Russ Johns, Rick Shearman, Libby, Elizabeth, and just so many people out there. Thank you for all mentorship. And I know that speaks volumes, Eileen. So thank you so much for what you're doing, and continue your journey about telling stories and doing what you're doing.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It really has been an honor, Russ. Thank you very much.
And as we wrap it up, is there any words of wisdom that you want to leave in the pirate legacy here?
Yes, someone shared this with me in a story that they wrote in my book, and you have to look at pain as a gift. And she used that a lot, and I get it, because pain is a gift. You have to figure out how that gift is going to fit into your life. But that's what makes us shine. That's what makes us stretch, grow, because we have to be appreciative to others, and we have to feel pain to really feel with our heart. Or I will use that a personal for me. And when she used that in her story, I said, oh my God, that's like the secret of life. Yeah. From that pain is a gift, and you have to figure out what that gift is.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah,
so,
you have to.
Well, thank you. And now that you're a pirate, join the pirate community. If you're not connected with Eileen, connect with Eileen. You'll reach out, tell them Russ sent you.
Okay.
Captain Russ sent you in a personal message, so she'll know where you're coming from. It's like not a random connection. It's a pirate connection. And hopefully you can enjoy the day, because as you know, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And I want you to enjoy the day. Thanks, Eileen. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about,